Cool. Hi everyone, I'll be leading today's workshop on the Harmony ecosystem overview. This should run for about half an hour or so. We're taking a few more back over the fundamentals of Harmony, and then look at some various cool things you can do and play with Harmony, and hopefully some inspiration for the upcoming hackathon as well. I'm going to use a mirror board for this because I love a mirror board. They're great fun. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them into chat. Danny, who's our program manager for this program, will also drop in some various links. We've had a couple of events so far, the technical one last week in particular. Again, feel free to ask any questions you want, and we will provide you with links along the way. Cool, I'm Anthony, I'm the CEO of Encode, and a big fan of Harmony, really, so we'll go into it from there. Cool, so let us start very simply with the kind of a look into what is Harmony. Now, we've gone over this a number of times, so I'm going to kind of try and keep this section of things fairly brief. But fundamentally, it is an EVM. What this means is that it is an Ethereum virtual machine. It runs like Ethereum, it works like Ethereum, it has a different way of doing consensus and a few other choices, but fundamentally it's an EVM. What this means is that a lot of the kind of applications and way we would build stuff on Ethereum is exactly the same on Harmony, and this will kind of influence a lot of the stuff you go on to see. And I'm going to try and actually use some proper examples of things that you can kind of do, and we're going to broadly look at various different areas. But fundamentally, the EVM-ness I think is important, particularly for this workshop. So first of all, we're going to start off by looking at wallets. Now, wallets, for those of you, in fact, let's use this type. Oh no, don't do that. So wallets. So a wallet is the way we where we store currencies, but also the way we kind of interact with a blockchain. It obviously stores our keys, for instance. And there are several wallets that you can kind of use. We're going to talk about them in a moment, but let's list them first. So first there is Edge. There is also obviously MetaMask as the main for Ethereum one as well. You've got Trezor. You have Ledger. I would say you also have OneApp in Harmony's case. We could use Frontier. We could use Trust on the mobile side. I think that's the ones I kind of want to focus on now. We're going to have a look at each of them for a second. Looks a bit like Medusa over here. Let's first of all look at Edge Wallet. So fairly standard EVM-based wallet. Again, does what it says on the tin. It's impressive that while it's loading, it currently says 0 for everything. I assure you that's not the case. Edge as a very simple one. MetaMask you all should be familiar with. You can see MetaMask there in my own browser, but works with any EVM. It's the most popular wallet and the most used wallet, and probably the one you should use, to be honest. Trezor is a hardware wallet, which is similar to Ledger. It's just a different type of hardware wallet, but Ledger is the more used one. You should be familiar. Everyone has a ledger. There's one of my 2 ledgers right here. I did break the thing, this silver bit off them. So all of these will work with Harmony. You've also got Frontier wallets. Nice one there. And I should flag, if you want something different, there is the Harmony wallet, which is sorry, there's Trust wallet as well, and I believe the OneApp wallet, I think it isn't going OneApp wallet, Harmony. Yes, they have their own wallets as well. Personally, I would recommend all of the ones I've mentioned, but mainly the MetaMask plus Ledger is, I think, the most popular combination. So that's first place wallets. This is the fairly most uninteresting place to look, first and foremost. So let's look at, I think the main thing when we think EVM, we also think DeFi. So let's talk about DeFi. So DeFi obviously stands for decentralized finance. This is the sort of replacement or replication of what happens in traditional money markets using crypto primitives and crypto protocols. You get this is kind of we look at this in sort of several areas. We've got exchanges, lending, stable coins, maybe options or derivatives, we call it, and many others besides. So what have we got on Harmony? Let's have a look. Go directly to Google. So we have, of course, I've mentioned NFTs. NFTs themselves are DeFi, the monetization around digital assets. So Armenia, so this is a received grant. It's a decentralized marketplace for NFTs on Harmony. A very nice one, maybe comparable to something like OpenSea or SudoSwap. Loss Swap Finance. This is the DEX, so this goes into the exchange side of things. Very nice, a DEX specifically to do with their type of collectibles. You've got Panther Money, which is a prediction market. You've got StakeDAO, which is a sort of a staking platform. So if you've got coins, a place to deposit money and earn something. We have Synapse Protocol, which is a sort of cross-chain protocol, kind of bridging and cross-chain protocol. Cross-chain allowing us to use assets across chains and also to do transactions across chains. Why might this be interesting? I think many perspective reasons, to be honest. But I can see a world where I want to move from Ethereum to Harmony and back and forth because I think there's a better market or better app on one that I want to get access to. Let's look at some more. Cosmic Universe. This is actually a game, and I think games broadly should actually put in a separate section, but games themselves epitomize and use many Legos produced by blockchain and Harmony. So yeah, Cosmic Universe. We've got Parrot DeFi. So it's yield farming, staking. I'm going to put in here liquidity. Obviously, crypto allows you to become the bank to make money out of the provision of liquidity, which in ways I can't usually. I usually have to, if I lend my money out, I do it through a middleman. So liquidity, an obvious area as well. Where else can we look at? Aave. Aave itself is built on, it has a version on Harmony. Aave being one of the leading lending protocols. I'm not connecting my wallet. Where I can borrow for this and lend throughout, or it's not going to let me lend now, is it? Lend out for an auto. There we go, supply API. If I want to give up UST, that's the supply rate, lol. But if I want to lend out Ethereum right now, I can get 15%, although the borrow rate is 50. Crazy. The reason for that is the merge. People are worried that they won't get repaid if they lend out their money. What else? Ring Finance. cross-chain staking platform. Again, this cross-chain side of things, allowing us to use our assets on more than one chain becomes particularly important. We've also got, let us think, what others? OnePad, which is a launch pad on Harmony, which is also called another one called Harmony Pad. Launch pads are important. They are basically platforms which you launch new tokens and sort of like marketing platforms for new tokens. What other ones? Scale Swap. That's an IDO platform. Any others I want to flag? I've got my list here. Sonic Swap, another DEX on Harmony. OIN Finance as a stablecoin issuance platform. Reverse Protocol. So all very cool things that actually look like a lot of the Ethereum protocols. Now, one thing we should note is volumes. Let's see if DeFi Pulse actually will have the volumes for us. And clearly the amount of liquidity, amount of volume on Harmony is not quite what you get on Ethereum. That goes without saying. Let me, don't think unfortunately it's going to give us by the chain. Let's go, what trading volume? No, we're going to go for AUM per one chain. This might be a Lazari data I need. No, not quite. I'll see if I can find that a little bit later. Cool. So we've looked at DeFi. Let's go a bit further. Let's look. We talked about gaming, so let's look a little bit more. Cool. So in terms of games, I think it's important to differentiate immediately between games and NFTs. NFTs refer to in-game digital assets that we can uniquely prove their ownership. Games might have NFTs, but albeit we are probably thinking about a game that is itself has some decentralization as part of it. There are problems with this. I talk about these in other lectures. But the most important thing to say is that games sit very differently from NFTs, though they might have them as part of it. So what are the major games to sort of look at? Well, a few. Let's go. AAG Ventures. They are a game studio. You've got Harmony Puzzle, a very simple, let's put it down so we actually go. A very simple puzzle game where you can win money. And actually, you can, the code is open source, and I recommend this maybe for an early hackathon project to go and have a look at it. We've got, there's a similarly a chess app. DeFi Kingdoms is one of the most advanced and most exciting games. You'll see it uses itself. NFTs, most decentralized games would do so. But the game itself is built on chain. Now, this does make the game fairly slow, but this is itself a trade-off. So no problem sort of there. But DeFi Kingdoms being kind of one of the major ones. You've also got Harmony Play, another kind of multiplayer game. We already talked a little bit about Panther Money. Which is a kind of prediction, more on the prediction market side. Mars Colony. Which is kind of more of a metaverse play. Very cool. It's on, you see, most of these games, if you're EVM, will be on other chains as well. So this one is also on Polygon. There's also Oneverse, which is a metaverse play. So plenty of different kind of games here. Gaming in most chains is still in its nascency. again, because games themselves rely on kind of very high speeds or very low transaction costs, or they just aren't on the chain themselves, they have to be kind of decentralized with a centralized with a decentralized component, or they are only outsource one part of the game itself to the blockchain, such as the NFT component. Which brings us neatly onto the NFT side. So NFTs here, we're looking basically for NFT projects. Deploying an NFT is not the most complicated thing in the world, so we might also want to look at sort of infrastructure as well. So a few ones to kind of flag here. Keeper one. DeFi Mons. Nice there. They've also gone to Avalanche. You've got Crypto Pigs. The database is not working. That is extremely crypto. We have Tranquility City. Another nice one. Again, we're seeing the synonymousness between games and NFTs here. We've got Harmonies. Yeah, it's not showing my wallet. We could go for When Lambo NFT. So this is just to highlight, I'll post a full list afterwards. It's just to highlight the many kind of cool things to look at. And I think I would stress that the ecosystem of Harmony is still fairly nascent, and some stuff is early, some stuff's still being built, some stuff also people are trying on other chains. But there are a lot of projects that have deployed. So stuff to look at. The next thing to look at is dApps. So these are basically decentralized applications. They could fall into any one of the categories I've mentioned before, but they also can be. One thing I've missed out here, CurveFi is also on Harmony. That's a fairly important bit of the DeFi infrastructure in terms of making sure stablecoins stay at a peg. I also could put in here kind of DAOs as well, or maybe that personally that goes more nicely in a separate section. DAOs themselves not really being anything on chain. They are just, well, they are on chain. They're not really being a sort of an entity themselves, but rather they are decentralized organizations, meaning the election process is decentralized and decision-making process, and they typically have a body of funds or membership identified through a token or NFT. But DAOs are also kind of a very nice sort of example, really. What would be a good example? So actually a former Encode hackathon winner, ETHSign, which is also on Polygon. They're a fairly good, they're basically DocuSign on the blockchain. That's a quite a nice example. Doesn't necessarily fall into a DeFi kind of, a DeFi use case, but still itself is a dApp. We've also got things you can start to see oracles form here. So you've got Band Protocol. Nice one. We could also start to bring in like NFT marketplaces, though they fall more neatly, probably under the NFTs, but they are themselves dApps to begin with. They're applications, they are not themselves NFTs. NFT key is a very nice example of such. What else? Got things like VFATs, which is good for, it's kind of it's itself a dApp, but it provides information about the best farms. So if you're looking to get a good yield, this is the list to sort of go for, really. And you'll notice some good protocols there. Float protocol from Encode is there, for instance. What else? I think that's boring DAO's quite cool. Which is, if we go on the community side, is a sort of a kind of a multi-chain solution going into the kind of cross-chain stuff. No, protocols themselves can be DAOs. The protocol can do something, and itself its management be via a DAO. So that's kind of important to note. What this all goes to show is that our ecosystem is fairly big, and let's turn this into kind of something more visual. And there's many things, and we're going to have a hackathon in a few weeks, and we hope you take part. And I think still a lot is missing, and I don't think anything has achieved quite the scale it could. Some of the examples I've listed here have just gone nicely onto this summary. Some I've missed out. I haven't necessarily talked about partners per se, just because they don't necessarily use Harmony. But some of the categories I mentioned, exchanges, these are just places that kind of you can buy and sell Harmony, which I don't think is that's useful, but it's not so useful for the purpose of this talk. You see plenty of other DeFi dApps, NFTs, gaming ones I completely haven't mentioned. So feel free to give those a try. Maybe you can speculate and make some money, but it also might give you lots of good ideas for the hackathon ahead. I will just stop there and take some questions that might be in chat. Can you share the ecosystem link? Yeah. BFAT is a bit out of date. Yeah, I agree. I thought that when I was sharing it, I thought, this is a bit in terms of privacy solutions, I definitely don't think that it's that sophisticated. So I think that would be a really good area to look at for the hackathon. The biggest oracle is a very good question. I think it's still Chainlink, but Band's pretty good. I don't know Speedstar personally. Yeah, who is Speedstar? I actually don't know. Yes, bridges. The best bridge is the main Harmony bridge, which is this one. That's not you can trade most assets on it. At least one ETH, BTC, Link, and general ERC20s or ERC115s or 1155s or ERC721s. Cool. Some stuff on the last DeFi made some good money. Hopefully we'll play in the future. Yeah. Wildcoin is sick, by the way. It's not dead. What are these NFT marketplaces on Harmony? So I personally you can just use OpenSea, like there is a Harmony market, so probably that. Poison IDO, initial decentralized exchange offering. So yeah, as opposed to an ICO, which is just basically an offering directly from a contract, an IEO, which is just a centralized exchange offering. Is the merge going to have an effect on the Harmony bridges? God knows. Can you talk a bit about bridges, which are the safest to use? I think all bridges have a bit of an issue, mainly because it's hard to move stuff from one chain to another. And usually there's some centralized component to the way they settle. The one bridge is so far good, but to be honest, all bridges sort of scare me. I think the safest thing is to withdraw to an exchange and then withdraw from the exchange or deposit into an exchange, and then withdraw from the exchange into where you want to go. Trust Wallet is the most reliable mobile wallet. Encode has NFTs now. You do get them, I think, for being here. I think you have to attend 50% of the events, but these NFTs will kind of pave the road to Encode having a sort of decentralized governance and more involvement for you in Encode's program. So do fill in the form in order to claim yours, and we'll check that. Was the bridge recently hacked? I didn't know that. Yeah, lol, it was June. Shows you how recent my memory is. Yeah, 100 million. Don't use it then. Yeah. I completely forgot. There were so many bridges have been hacked. Yeah. Our friend here is right. It was exploited for 100 million. Recency bias played that. So yeah, maybe don't use it for now. Again, withdraw to an exchange like FTX, and then withdraw from FTX to where you want to go next on Ethereum. They'll do it all the conversions for you. Cool. Any other questions? I should add, we're going to announce the hackathon very soon. We're just finalizing bounties. It will actually start at the end of September. Lots of prizes on offer. It will last for 4 weeks for you to build whatever you want or answer one of the bounties. So we do hope that you participate in that. Other than that, guys, Danny's placed the registration form in. Thank you very much for coming. This is you are one step closer to your Encode NFT for the Harmony program, and you'll get more for appearing in the hackathon as and when it comes. Otherwise, guys, if you want to reach out to me, I'll drop my email here in chat and also my Twitter. So feel free to message me on either channel, and I'll happily get back to you. In the meantime, thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you are, or night, and see you all very soon. Thank you very much, guys.